Lionel Johnson. Lionel Johnson has emerged from his long slumber in the Era Indomitus, the current chapter of Warhammer 40k. He's taken the reins of the Dark Angels once again and is busy rallying allies to help mend the fractured regions of the Imperium. His return marks him as one of just 2 loyalist Primarchs still active today. Looking ahead, his presence brings both promise and danger for the Imperium. There's a lot of chatter about a potential meeting with Guilliman, which could either lead to a powerful alliance or ignite fresh conflicts, given their contrasting leadership styles. The Lion also has to face the hidden shame of his legion, the Fallen, whose legacy has cast a long shadow over the Dark Angels for ages. How he deals with this weight could not only redefine his legion's destiny, but also change the political landscape of the Imperium itself. His return came after 10,000 years spent in a mysterious stasis tucked away deep within the rock, the fortress monastery of the Dark Angels. After the Horus heresy and the Great Scouring, L. Johnson faded from Imperial records, his body found in the fortress, resting in a sleep that even his sons couldn't fully understand. Fulgrim. The Primarch of the Emperor's Children is currently a demon prince of Slaanesh and rules from the Warp. He leads his corrupted legion who indulge in excess and torment under his patronage. Unlike many of his brothers, Fulgrim fully embraced his new existence, reveling in the eternal rewards of chaos. Speculation about his future often centers on whether he will return to the galaxy in force. Given his loyalty to Slaanesh and his growing power as a demon prince, many believe Fulgrim could spearhead future campaigns of corruption, possibly clashing with Guilliman or the Lion, now that both are active again. His path to this state began after the Horus heresy, when he was consumed by the demon within his blade and fully surrendered to Slaanesh. Elevated into demonhood, Fulgrim left behind his former identity as a Primarch and became an immortal monster, forever tied to the Prince of Pleasure. Perturabo. The Primarch of the Iron Warriors lives on as a demon prince of chaos undivided. He rules from the Eye of Terror, commanding his legion as masters of siegecraft and fortifications. He is active, bitter, and consumed by the hatred that has defined him since the heresy. In the future, Perturabo is seen as one of the most dangerous traitor Primarchs, since his mastery of logistics, technology, and siege warfare makes him a threat on par with Guilliman's organizational brilliance. Fans speculate that if Games Workshop advances the storyline, Perturabo could emerge to lead a galaxy-spanning campaign of destruction against the Imperium's fortress worlds. His rise to demonhood followed the Iron Warriors' betrayal at Istvan and their relentless cruelty during the heresy. After the war, he carved out his demon realm within the Eye of Terror, constructing labyrinthine fortresses and engines of destruction, cementing his role as one of Chaos's most enduring champions. Jaghatai Khan. The Great Khan is the first of many missing Primarchs. During a battle in the Webway against the Drukhari, he pursued his enemies through a portal and vanished, never to be seen again. His legion believes he was lost fighting for the Imperium, and his fate remains one of the great mysteries of the setting. There is strong speculation that Khan may one day return. If so, it would likely be from the Webway itself, where time and reality are distorted. Fans imagine he could re-emerge to ride once again in humanity's defense, perhaps joining Guilliman and the Lion in reshaping the Imperium. Others argue that he may be trapped or even enslaved within the Webway, waiting either for rescue or for some greater power to set him free. Before his disappearance, Jaghatai was a loyal son who fought at the Siege of Terra and defended the Imperium through the Scouring. His sudden vanishing during the White Scar's pursuit of the Drukhari has left his ultimate fate unresolved for 10,000 years. Leman Russ. Leman Russ, Primarch of the Space Wolves, is also missing. Near the end of the Great Scouring, he gathered his legion for a feast and declared he was embarking on a quest into the Eye of Terror, promising to return for the Wolf Time, a prophesied final battle for the fate of humanity. He has not been seen since. Speculation about his return is constant among fans and within the lore. Many believe Russ will reappear during the Imperium's darkest hour, likely when Chaos or Xenos threats reach their peak. If Guilliman and the Lion are both active, Russ's re-emergence would balance their more political approaches with his feral warrior's spirit. In life, Russ was one of the Emperor's fiercest warriors, renowned for his savagery and loyalty. He fought at the Siege of Terra and pursued the traitors in the aftermath. His disappearance has left the Space Wolves waiting for 10,000 years, holding to the belief that their Primarch will return when he is needed most. Rogal Dorn. The Primarch of the Imperial Fists is officially listed as missing in action and presumed dead. After the heresy, he led the Imperial Fists during the Great Scouring and later commanded a desperate boarding action against a Chaos fleet. His severed hand was found after the battle, but his full body was never recovered. Most believe Dorn died during that battle, though the lack of a body leaves room for debate. If he were to return, it would possibly be in a diminished or spectral form given his heavy injuries. Fans speculate Dorn might one day reappear, but most agree that his role has passed on to his successors in the chapter he helped define. During the heresy, Dorn was Terra's chief defender, designing and commanding the fortifications of the Imperial Palace. His disappearance after the Scouring deprived the Imperium of one of its most steadfast leaders, though his legacy lives on in the Codex Astartes and the Sons of the Imperial Fists. Konrad Curze. Curze is one of the few Primarchs confirmed dead, and he foresaw his own end long before it came, tormented by visions of the Imperium's grim future. After the heresy, he carried on his reign of terror until the Imperial assassin Machene was sent to kill him. When she arrived, Curze ordered his warriors not to interfere and accepted his fate, convinced that his visions could never be altered. Since Curze's soul was claimed by chaos and his body destroyed, his return is not expected. However, his legacy endures through the Night Lords, who continue to embody his vision of ruling through fear and cruelty. Curze's life was defined by darkness and prophecy. He was raised on the murderous world of Nostromo and believed the Imperium could only be controlled through terror. His self-fulfilling visions and ultimate surrender to death reflected his nihilistic worldview, making him one of the most tragic Primarchs. Sanguinius. Sanguinius, the beloved Primarch of the Blood Angels, fell during the Siege of Terra. He faced Horus aboard the Vengeful Spirit before the Emperor's final confrontation, and though he was slain, his sacrifice gave the Imperium one of its most enduring legends and inspired his sons to endure across millennia. Fans often speculate about his return, but current lore suggests it is impossible. Sanguinius' death was absolute, and unlike some Primarchs, there are no hints of survival. Still, visions of him are said to appear to his chapter, guiding them in times of need. If he were to reappear, it would likely be symbolic, through prophecy, angelic visions, or the hope he represents to the Imperium. In life, Sanguinius was considered the noblest of the Primarchs, gifted with angelic wings and foresight. His tragic fall during the heresy left the Blood Angels with the Black Rage, a genetic curse born from their psychic bond to his violent death. His memory defines the chapter to this day. Ferrus Manus. The Primarch of the Iron Hands is also dead, killed during the Drop Site Massacre on Istvan V, where Fulgrim of the Emperor's Children personally struck him down in a tragic duel. The two used to share a close bond, and Fulgrim would be haunted by this murder for thousands of years. Ferrus's death was the first among the Loyalist Primarchs and marked a devastating loss early in the heresy. Because Fulgrim not only killed him, but also severed his head, Ferrus's return is considered impossible. The Iron Hands themselves reject the idea of his resurrection, believing their Primarch's death was final and defining. Still, whispers of his spirit or remnants of his consciousness have been hinted at in obscure lore, leaving faint speculation that some echo of Ferrus might one day reappear in machine or memory. Ferrus was known for his mastery of technology and his unyielding strength. He helped forge the Emperor's war gear before the heresy and defined the Iron Hands' obsession with replacing weakness with steel. Angron. During the heresy, Angron was elevated by Khorne into a demon prince, granting him immortality and power beyond mortal limits. Today, he continues to lead his world eaters, spreading carnage across the galaxy. He has already been banished and reborn multiple times, with his most notable defeat occurring during the First War for Armageddon. In the era Indomitus, Angron returned in full force. He launched invasions into Imperial space, including brutal assaults on key sectors, and he had a chance to confront the Lion during the Arcs of Omen campaign. Despite losing to his more skilled brother, Angron showcased once again his immense strength and ability as a warrior. Speculation suggests his presence could grow even more dangerous, possibly tied to the expansion of Khorne's influence during the Age of the Dark Imperium. Before his apotheosis, Angron was a tragic figure. Raised as a gladiator slave on Nuceria, he was implanted with the Butcher's Nails, neural devices that drove him into constant rage. His hatred for the Emperor's control and his unending fury defined his path. Now, as a demon prince, that fury has become eternal. Roboute Guilliman. He was the first Primarch to return in defense of the Imperium. After being gravely injured in a duel with Fulgrim, he was revived from stasis by Belisarius Cawl using the artifact known as the Armor of Fate and the power of the Eldari God of the Dead. Guilliman now serves as Lord Commander of the Imperium, coordinating Imperial defenses against the countless threats emerging since the opening of the Great Rift. Guilliman's role is unique among the Loyalist Primarchs, and he is not only a general but also the Imperium's chief administrator, trying to reform its crumbling systems. Speculation surrounds his eventual confrontation with Lion El'Jonson, who has recently awakened. While both are loyal to the Emperor, their methods are sharply different. Guilliman favors structure and policy, while the Lion is far more secretive and ruthless. How these two visions of leadership will interact could define the Imperium's future. Guilliman commanded one of the largest legions and later wrote the Codex Astartes after the heresy, dividing the Space Marine legions into chapters. His influence has lasted 10,000 years, making him the single most politically important Primarch in the Imperium's history. Mortarion. The Primarch of the Death Guard lives on as a demon prince of Nurgle. Since the heresy, Mortarion has ruled the plague planet in the Eye of Terror, spreading pestilence and rot across the galaxy. He is frequently seen leading his Death Guard in person, especially during the Plague Wars, where he launched a massive invasion of Ultramar, the realm of his brother Roboute Guilliman. This conflict has become one of the defining rivalries of the era Indomitus, pitting Guilliman's order and resilience against Mortarion's entropy and corruption. Future speculation often revolves around whether Mortarion will escalate these wars to target Terra itself, as his patron Nurgle's influence grows through new plagues and warp-spawned diseases. Once Mortarion was a tragic figure who grew up on the toxic world of Barbarous. He despised tyrants after surviving a childhood under a Xenos warlord, and his hatred of the Emperor's authority drove him into Horus's camp. Today, that bitterness has calcified into eternal servitude to Nurgle, a fate that binds him forever to disease and despair. Magnus the Red. Magnus continues to serve Chaos as the Demon Prince of Tzeentch. After the fall of Prospero and his full embrace of sorcery, he pledged himself entirely to the God of Change. His legion now wages war as one of Chaos's most powerful psychic forces, hurling spells and demonic horrors across the galaxy. In the current timeline, Magnus has emerged repeatedly to strike at key Imperial worlds. His current agenda includes building a psychic empire on Sortiarius and accelerating humanity's psychic evolution. He remains one of the most dangerous Chaos Primarchs because of his unmatched psychic mastery. Some speculate that his rivalry with the Emperor could resurface through the Golden Throne itself, with Magnus possibly seeking to undo or corrupt it. Others wonder if Magnus might one day regret his pact with Tzeentch, but his present loyalty appears unwavering. Magnus's downfall was rooted in tragedy. Even though he had a gift of foresight among the Emperor's children, he even tried to warn the Emperor of Horus's betrayal, but his forbidden use of sorcery destroyed the Webway project and sealed his fate as a traitor. Today, his immense powers serve the agenda of Tzeentch, making him one of the most unpredictable threats in the galaxy. Horus. Horus Lupercal is dead in the most absolute sense. During the Siege of Terra, he was slain by the Emperor aboard the Vengeful Spirit. In their duel, Horus realized too late that he had been twisted into a pawn of chaos. In a moment of clarity, he begged the Emperor to end his torment. The Emperor obliged, striking him down with an ancient stone blade to annihilate not just his body but also his soul, that even Chaos gods cannot bring him back. Speculation about his return often comes up, especially since Fabius Bile once cloned Horus. But a clone is just an empty shell, and without his soul, it means nothing. Unless Games Workshop radically changes canon, Horus is gone forever, his fate sealed by the Emperor's final strike. Before his fall, Horus was the first and favored son, raised by the Emperor himself, and eventually made War Master of the Great Crusade. His corruption by Chaos turned him into the architect of the heresy. Lorgar. Lorgar is still alive and remains within the Eye of Terror. The Primarch of the Word-Bearers is one of the most faithful servants of Chaos, having been the first to embrace the worship of the Dark Gods. After the heresy, he withdrew into deep meditation and communion with the Warp, leaving his legion to spread corruption in his name. Many fans speculate about when Lorgar will re-emerge. Given his role as the Prophet of Chaos, he could become a central figure if Games Workshop ever advances the Chaos side of the narrative. His quietness for 10,000 years is suspicious. It may suggest he is preparing for a dramatic return at a critical moment. Before this fate, Lorgar was humiliated by the Emperor for worshipping him as a god. His punishment at Monarchia pushed him toward Chaos, and guided by Erebus, he embraced the primordial truth. This decision sparked the religious devotion to Chaos that fueled the heresy. Vulkan. The Primarch of the Salamanders is considered one of the Perpetuals, meaning he cannot be permanently killed and capable of regenerating from nearly any injury. After the heresy, he vanished, and his current whereabouts remain a mystery in Warhammer 40k lore. Despite countless attempts on his life, he always returns, though often after long absences. Before disappearing, he scattered 9 sacred artifacts across the galaxy, leaving a cryptic message. When the Salamanders recover all 9, he will return to lead them. This prophecy is tied to the Tome of Fire, a sacred text of the Salamanders' Promethean cult. Only 5 artifacts have been found so far. Speculation suggests Vulkan may reappear when the Imperium faces its darkest hour, since his nature makes him the most reliable candidate for a true resurrection. Some fans believe he could eventually join Guilliman and Lion in leading the Imperium's defense. Others think Games Workshop may use his return to explore the Perpetuals more directly. Vulkan was known for his compassion toward humanity, a trait that set him apart from many of his brothers. During the heresy, he endured incredible torment, captured and broken repeatedly by Konrad Curze, yet he always re-emerged because of his unique gift of immortality. Corvus Corax. He disappeared into the Eye of Terror after the heresy, and Corvus has not been seen since. His legion records state only that he departed, racked with guilt over the gene seed failures that plagued his warriors during the war. Speculation about Corax is tied to hints that he was twisted by the warp. Some sources describe him turning into a shadow figure, capable of morphing into a flock of ravens, more like a demon than a Primarch. If he returns, it could be either as a loyalist who uses his mutation to fight chaos, or as a tragic figure consumed by it. Both possibilities keep fans debating his future. In the heresy, Corax survived the drop site massacre but saw his legion nearly destroyed. Seeking to rebuild, he turned to forbidden technology, which resulted in the Raven Guard producing monstrous, unstable warriors. Ashamed, he ultimately disbanded them and vanished. Alpharius, Omegon. The story of Alpharius and Omegon is one of the biggest enigmas in the Warhammer 40k universe. Officially, it's said that Alpharius met his end during the heresy. Some accounts claim it was at the hands of Rogal Dorn, while others suggest it could have been Omegon who dealt the final blow. The truth about their fate remains shrouded in mystery, and the Alpha Legion thrives on this ambiguity. People are always speculating, are one or both of them still out there pulling strings from the shadows? If either of them were to return, it would likely be in a way that turns the whole narrative on its head, shaking both the Imperium and Chaos. During the heresy, the Alpha Legion played a double game, sometimes appearing to support Horus and at other times the Emperor, weaving a complex web of contradictions. Whether their actions were genuinely in service of Chaos or part of a more intricate scheme remains a mystery. That concludes our rundown of every Primarch's fate. You can click here to check out another video, and I hope to see you in the next one.